Welcome to the Willowbrook State School for Children with Intellectual Disabilities. It sounds almost pleasant, doesn't it? Like a place with rolling green hills and caring teachers. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. This particular institution on Staten Island was, in fact, home to one of the most impressively awful cases of human experimentation ever conducted on American soil. Originally built as an Army hospital, it was quickly flipped into a state-sponsored mental institution in 1947. And as we all know, state-sponsored is often a bureaucratic euphemism for destined to become a nightmare of underfunding and systematic decay. And oh boy, did Willowbrook deliver. Designed for 4,000 students, it was soon bursting with over 6,000. This is what happens when a society decides to warehouse the people it deems parasites. The conditions were, to put it politely, abhorrent. Reporters wrote of the horrors, children wandering aimlessly in their own filth, some locked in rooms for hours, others savagely beaten by the very caretakers paid to protect them. There was no treatment. There was no education. This wasn't a school. It was a holding pen. Now, this isn't to say the entire staff was cruel. Some nurses genuinely tried, but they were critically understaffed. We're talking single caregivers responsible for over 100 children each. There's no feasible way to provide care in that scenario. It's just human triage. Any staff member who dared to speak out was promptly silenced or fired. The state representatives, you see, couldn't give a flying flip, as the original script so delicately put it. On top of this human-made hell, the filth made way for a new threat: disease. By 1958, hepatitis was so rampant that nearly all children contracted it within days of arrival. The situation was desperate, so they called in an expert. Enter Dr. Saul Krugman. He was the leading physician in the study of hepatitis, the right man for the job, truly. Krugman wanted to free humanity from this virus, and to do that, he needed data. To get data, he needed subjects. And right there, sitting in filth and neglect, was a perfect, self-contained, vulnerable population. Now you might be thinking, but wait, what about ethics? What about consent? After the unpleasantness at the Nuremberg trials, the medical world developed something called the Nuremberg Code. It was a lovely set of 10 ethical principles. Things like voluntary informed consent and the right to withdraw from experimentation. But here's the kicker. The code wasn't legally binding. It was, more or less, a strong suggestion. Then, in 1964, came the Declaration of Helsinki. This was an upgrade, building on the Nuremberg Code, but with one fascinatingly convenient little tweak. Informed consent could now be granted by legal guardians should the subject be incapable of providing consent themselves. This was Krugman's trap card. He now had a slew of potential test subjects at his disposal. He just needed their guardian's permission. So Krugman drafted carefully worded letters to parents. These parents were already desperate, agonizing over the impossible choice of caring for a severely disabled child at home or turning them over to the state's care. Krugman's offer was a masterstroke of predatory altruism. Give us consent to experiment on your child, and they will be given priority admission to newer, cleaner research wards. They would also get experimental vaccines. The parents were essentially told, look, your kid is going to get hepatitis the moment they walk in here anyway. Might as well let us make it scientific. They signed. Of course, they signed. They just wanted to give their children a chance at any kind of proper care. Within weeks, Krugman had 700 children. The experiments began. There was an immunity group who were injected with antibodies and monitored. But then, there was the other group, the treatment studies group, the unlucky ones. These children were deliberately infected with hepatitis. This was done in two ways. Some got a direct injection. Others were fed a special cocktail, a delightful mixture of chocolate milk and infected fecal matter from sick children. Yes, they really did that. They turned a disease born from filth into a calculated scientific milkshake. Through this, Krugman watched. He watched as the children suffered, skin and eyes turning yellow, vomiting, refusing to eat. He learned how much milk it took to cause infection. He learned how long it took for symptoms to show. Children who recovered were often reinfected to test for immunity. And here's the most tragic part. Krugman's research was successful. It drastically sped up the creation of a hepatitis vaccine. He was the one who identified hepatitis A and B as separate variants. His work did save lives. The medical community, naturally, was appalled. Paul Offit, a director at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, stated he didn't believe anyone is ever justified to inoculate a child with an infectious virus that might kill them. Another famed vaccinologist called it the most unethical medical experiment ever performed on children in the United States. But criticism doesn't stick very well when you get results. It wasn't until 1972, when a young investigative reporter named Geraldo Rivera snuck into Willowbrook with a camera, that the true visual horror was broadcast to the world. Only then, when the public saw the filth, did the outcry become too loud to ignore. This, along with the Tuskegee study, finally prompted the government to act. In 1974, the National Research Act was signed, requiring review boards. Actual ethics oversight. Willowbrook itself finally closed in 1987. And Dr. Krugman? After some initial backlash, he was praised for his breakthroughs. His past sins were swept under the rug of medical progress. In 1972, the same year Rivera's exposé shocked the nation, Dr. Krugman was elected president of the American Pediatric Society. He died peacefully in 1995.